there is a possibility for our circulation to be moving in. And with that, we can go ahead and take a look at our velocity here. And we can see the circulation here on the screen. So if you are anywhere close to south of Owensville, definitely east of Vienna and north of Raleigh, this is going to be where you're really going to want to get into your safe spot. And we can go ahead and look at some of those safety tips for you. You definitely want to get into the lowest level of your house. If you do have a basement, that's going to be a really great spot. We do have to get into an interior room if you don't have a basement, bathroom, anywhere like a closet under the stairs. But evacuate the mobile homes immediately if you are in this area. We can get outside, get a safe place, and as the last resort, lie in a ditch. If you are outside or if you are driving around, there's not only just this tornado, but with it is really damaging hail and wind gusts, as we can see. So as we switch right back on over to the base radar, we can take a look and we can see the system moving in. And it has really started to see that circulation. You can see that the whole base of it, we have really high level winds, and with this, that is why they have issued that. So we take a look from what National Weather Service is saying, that it is capable of producing a tornado. It is 11 miles north of Gainesville, and then we can also see from there that the radar has indicated about 2 inches of hail, very close to egg size. So like I mentioned, you don't want to be outdoors. You definitely need to get into that safe spot immediately. We can switch on back over to the velocity. We can also take a look at some of these other storms across the area. Now, we did have some severe thunderstorm warnings that have moved across this area, and as all of those cells you can see just really formulate and populate right here, and that's what's giving us our tornado warning. So you want to get into your safe spot. We can see that it's moving into Gasconade County. And so with that, you can see that with Montgomery County, as well as Phelps County, you guys are going to want to be in your home in that basement safe spot immediately. We can go back over and look at the circulation that it has produced. We can see that it's coupling up right here, and if we zoom in right there, we can definitely see the circulation that I am mentioning. It was very high level, like we mentioned before, but as that circulation starts to produce, the system has gotten a lot stronger, and with that, they have put out the tornado warning. It has moved in, starting to move into Montgomery County. We do even see another severe thunderstorm warning popping up to our east, but really concentrating on this tornado right here. We can switch right back on over. Can see that the high reflectivity values are very high, and with that you can also see that it's going to have some fair amount of hail with it. Not only is it going to be with the hail, but very gusty winds. As we take a look, we can see this is going to be your hail detection, and with you can see that a lot of that pink is super, super large. We had baseball size reports earlier this afternoon, and with all of those cells coming together, you could definitely tell that there's a very broad area into Montgomery County, just the north tip of Phelps County, as well as Marys County. So with the hail, it is very important to take cover. You don't want to go out and about, but also with this tornado warning, you need to get into your safe spot. So we take a look right back on over to the velocity. See that circulation has definitely started to loop around. We can see that this is going to be your reds are going to be going away from the radar. Your green's going to be going towards the radar. This is going to be St. Louis, Springfield National Weather Service that does have this area. It is pretty far out, but we do see that with our 3 radars in the state, St. Louis, Kansas City, and Springfield, we kind of are in that area where the population is pretty scarce, but it does still have that really strong circulation signature right now. And as it starts to move even farther east, moving into Montgomery County's Phelps County as well. So with that, we can go ahead and switch right back on over to that tornado safety and severe weather. You're really going to want to review your weather safety plan. And I mentioned this right now, but you want to do this all the time. As we head into these spring months, you're definitely going to want to be prepared, because in mid-Missouri, we do have severe weather, and it does happen. You can see, review your weather safety plan, charge up your phones and tablets. You can download our app, just make sure you have a way to receive alerts, any alerts possible. Double check your emergency kit, make sure you have everything on there. You can go ahead and you can get a weather radio. Powers go out or your phone dies or something. This is something that you can result to, and it is very, very important to have. But go ahead and you can listen to that radio. They will give you very, very detailed information about the system and what is going on around you. And that's really what you want to know. Can't know right then and there. It's better to know beforehand, of course. Go ahead and sign up for the weather call. Obviously, tune in to KRCG, and you can also use our weather app. We have been actively tweeting this afternoon as well, so you can go ahead and we can keep you updated there. So we switch back, we can go ahead and take a look, and we can see the base radar is really starting to pick up again. You can see right here, we switch right back on over to the base radar. Again, we do have a tornado warning out in effect right now for Mid-Missouri. It's going to be for your Montgomery's counties, has moved on to Marys County. However, they do have recorded very, very fast winds with this system. So with the blowing large, very large hail that could get up to baseball-sized hail, we've had reports earlier this afternoon. So it's very important to get into your safe spot as it starts to move east. You can see that the cone, we can take a look. Areas that it possibly would be moving in, we can see 4 minutes in Royal, 10 miles in Jake Prairie, 17 minutes Oak Hill, moving on towards the St. Louis area. Now the system, like I mentioned, is very powerful, so you're going to want to be in your safe spot. And go back to the velocity and check that out as well. You can zoom right on in there and take a look. And the wraparound that we are starting to see with these winds, it does have a very tornado-like signature with it, of course. So you have that wrapping around of your two winds that are going to be coming from the different directions, making that circulation right there. So as it moves north, northeast, we can see that it's definitely moving towards in between Bourbon and Owensville. It's past Vienna right now. We can take a look to see if there has been, saw that there was some reported storm damage as well, that there's a possibility of some power lines down as well. But as of right now, they have issued a couple more severe thunderstorm warnings as well. And not only is the rain coming down really good, but the winds are very, very fast. Had a report earlier that we did see some really fast winds. We go ahead and take a look here. We can see, I believe it was really close to, I'm gonna say like 90 miles an hour. So that's something that really is not capable of you being able to do that. So it's very important that you get into that safe spot. This is going to be a severe storm moving in. Tornado warning is out for effect. We can take a look as it moves in. The circulation that we have been watching is right in here. We can switch right back on over to the base radar. As we can see, system is moving, and those high values of reflectivity, that's going to be, you have very much hail in that, very large hail, possibly 2 inches or even more. We're talking baseball-sized hail possibly, but a lot of egg-sized hail that is embedded in this system as well. With the very fast winds, that hail can be blowing anywhere, so you really need to get into your safe spot immediately. See, that tornado warning has moved in, and with that, the signature is, we can even see the wraparound that we have been talking about in the velocity right here in the reflectivity. We can also see that another severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued, so we go ahead and move a little bit more north. Areas affected, Herman, we can take a look at that, but like I said, a lot of these cells have all come together over the past couple of hours and really produced this massive circulation that we are seeing with the can go ahead and keep going with that. And then we can switch right back on over to the velocity. Like I've mentioned, you can kind of see that the system is starting to elongate a little bit more across the area, but it has moved past Vienna and it's kind of squeezed right in between Vienna and Rolla. It's moving in farther and northeast as well too. It's kind of leaning more towards the east as well. But a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings popping up across the area. The rain has been falling very fast right now as well. So we go ahead and we can switch right on back over to that vertically degraded liquid, which is also going to be really good for hail detection. And even we can see within the past couple of minutes that this area has really expanded, and that hail is going to be associated with a lot of those deeper, darker reds and purples that we were seeing on the reflectivity as well with the radar. But here, like I mentioned, hail is going to be a very big concern because with these huge, gusty, blowing, damaging winds, it's going to be very, very dangerous for any siding, windows. Make sure you are getting away from those. You can switch right on back over to those safety tactics that we were mentioning earlier. You want to make sure that you get to the lowest level of your house, wherever you may be. You need to get to the lowest level as possible. Basement is going to be obviously the best. You're going to get into an interior room. Obviously, if you don't have a basement, try to do a bathroom. You don't have a lot of windows anywhere. Like I mentioned with that blowing hail, it can be very, very dangerous standing next to any windows. So make sure you get into the best, safest spot possible. You're going to want to evacuate your mobile homes, as well as if you're outside, you need to get to a safe shelter. You need to find somewhere to take cover, and as a last resort, lie in a ditch. But like I mentioned, you are going to, if you don't already have a weather radio, it is so beneficial to have. If your phone dies, if the power goes out and you don't have television or anything like that, this is going to be your saving grace. It's going to give you all of those alerts. And again, you can tune in if you do have power, and you can always tune into our app on your phone as well. Switching back over, we can keep going and take a look right back at that tornado warning. Alrighty, and if we zoom right back in, we can see those deeper, darker purples that I was mentioning, just very, very pigmented in there. So it's very dark, and like I said, with those colors, you're going to be warning for hail as well as within this circulation. We can see if we go ahead, kind of play it over as it kind of moves into the area. You can really start to see that circulation right here, even within the radar here. Again, we can switch back on over to the velocity and take a look at that circulation. Even like I mentioned, once you're playing it, you can really see almost the whole screen start to wrap around right into this area, and that's going to be where your tornado signature tornado is. So as we move back on over, we can see going back to the hail, like I mentioned, if we take a look right here, those deeper, darker purples that I've been mentioning, it's going to be very dangerous with a lot of these gusty winds, possibly gusting up to 80, 90 miles an hour with this system. So you want to get away from any windows. Make sure you are in your safe spot, as this is a tornado warning. With that circulation that we have been mentioning, the velocity has been very prominent with this. And like I mentioned, even those really bright pinks, you can take a look on this scale up here. We are in the very large range. And even with some of these systems that have been producing hail today, seen reports of baseball, possibly teacup-sized hail. So that is very, very dangerous. It has busted people's windshields. So you want to make sure that you are getting into your safe spot, because that is very, very dangerous to be out in. And then as we continue, we can go ahead and switch on back over to the base radar, and we can kind of pull up our cone as well. You can see, like I mentioned, that circulation, that wraparound is really coming from up here, circling right back in there. So we can see as it's starting to get into the end of the warning area, we can take a look at some of the areas that are going to be affected. So we go ahead and pull that out. We can set this back up to right now, but we can see that even Oak Hill, like I mentioned, we were even mentioning Bourbon a little bit ago, 13 minutes. You're going to want to get into your safe spot right now. It is coming. And then we can move on. We can see 17 minutes Sullivan, 28 minutes St. Clair, 33 minutes Richwood. So you're going to want to be very safe in this system. Make sure you get into that safe spot, as this possibility for a tornado is very prominent and very important that you are aware that you need to get into that safe spot. Switching back over to the velocity, we can go ahead and play that through again, and we can see, oh, there we go. And we do have even another severe thunderstorm that is going to be moving into the area. So as we zoom out here, we can see across the area, Earlier today, there is just quite a few individual cells that we can see. So they have really moved across Camden County, Lake Ozark as well. Down at the lake, I did see some reports of baseball-sized hail, and a lot of the roads were even covered in Camden, making it very, very hard to drive out there. So you're going to want to get into your safe spot. Don't go anywhere for right now. Storms are very, very severe right now. But like I mentioned, they are starting to move in. You can take a look down here, that severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued for the bottom of Pulaski County as they move in. But let's jump right on back over to that tornado. We can take a look at that tornado warning and that signature. Like I mentioned, a lot of these purples are really starting to spread out, indicating that the hail is spreading, and even the stronger rain with this system has really starting to impact the area. You can see that it's moving right towards Sullivan, another severe thunderstorm warning off to our northeast. But as we continue to take a look, we can go ahead and switch on back over to the velocity. And we can see that that signature is still pretty prominent right in there. We can see that wrap around right there, and that's going to be where your tornado is going to be. So that is going to move northeast towards, we can see, moving into Sullivan. So we go back to the base radar, we can pull up another cone just to take a look at that. So you can see the signature that this system has moved very fast across the area. It was multiple individualized cells that all came together that were very, very, very strong. They all gave their strength to this larger system, and in turn, it's able to wrap around. And with the environment, once that we had plenty of sunshine earlier today, we did have a couple of storms this morning, but giving all that sunshine and energy is really just fueling this storm as we see as it moves across the area. Like I mentioned, we are gonna go ahead and pull up one of those cones again. We can see in the area that we have been mentioning, Jake Prairie in 4 minutes, 11 minutes, Oak Hill, 20 minutes, Bourbon. So those are going to be your areas, like I mentioned, heading right towards Sullivan, 26 minutes, St. Clair, 40 minutes. So you are going to want to get into your safe spot. This storm, like I mentioned, has all the energy, so it's going to keep going, and it could just get stronger as it moves across our area. But like I mentioned, you can switch right on back over. Let's go ahead and jump back. We can see that the hail, even that system that they just added another severe thunderstorm warning on, you can see the amount of hail that is moving in over there as well. But you can even see within, not only have we seen the wraparound tornado signature and the velocity as well as our normal radar, we can see right here that the even hail is starting to get up in that system, and we can really, really tell that this is very large hail. We can take a look. Pink, that really warm pink up at the top, that's really across the area, stretching all the way from really southeast of Lynn and then northeast of Rolla. But right in that area, we can definitely see that it is going to be moving northeast as well. We can keep that in mind as we jump right on back to the base radar. So, like I mentioned, we have seen this area that is circulating. It has that tornado signature, so you need to get into your safe place. As we go back, we can go ahead and review those instructions as well. But you're going to want to get to your lowest level, like we have mentioned. Basement is going to be the best possible way, but when I say you need to get there, you need to get there now. So we're moving in, you need to get into an interior room, evacuate mobile homes immediately as well. And like I mentioned, you need to get into a safe spot, no matter where that safe spot is. If you are out and about, you need to find a safe shelter. Like I mentioned, all of this hail is blowing very fast, so if you're in your car, the windshield is definitely probably is at risk there. Your last resort, go ahead and lie in a ditch. But when we mention this hail, it's very dangerous, so you are going to want to stay there. However, you don't want to be parked under any bridges or anything like that, as well as that can be very damaging as well with those winds starting to circulate right under there. It gets very, very fast. Circling back on to the weather radio, like I mentioned, if you do not have cellular service or your phone dies and you don't have television or you are just in a place without one, you're going to want to have a weather radio handy. This is going to give you very critical and up-to-date information about the system that is going to be impacting you as well as across the area. And then as always, if you do have power, do have cellular service, go ahead and you can use our app. You can go ahead and watch us right here in KRCG 13. But switching right on back, we can go ahead, take a look at that base radar. Like I mentioned, we can go ahead and take a closer look at this system. We can go ahead and see that it came from the southwest. It has really moved in. Wow, the circulation right there is very impressive as it moves on. We can see that the system is really strengthening, getting towards the end of that area, but like I mentioned, we can see that signature right in here as it moves in. We can definitely see that that system is very, very strong and impactful right now. So if you, like I said, get to your safe spot in this tornado warning, we can switch back to velocity. We can see that this area right here is going to be your possible tornado. As we take a look, we can let me switch on back over there. There has not been any reports yet of a tornado on the ground. However, multiple reports we can see that mobile homes are damaged. Mobile homes are even off the foundation. A couple of barn roofs have been ripped off. Trees are laying to the west, and that was going to be very close to Vichy as well. So as that system has continued to move, as it continues to move northeast, we can take a look, and even here, right here, we see 3-inch tree limbs have broken off, power poles are broken. So the system, like I said, very impactful, very fast winds with this system. We can take a look, and they said they just got a report of about 50 to 60 mile an hour winds. So like I mentioned, that this system is the severe thunderstorm warning and has finally been extended to a severe thunderstorm warning. So that should be very good for us, as we do see that signature right there. That circulation is very powerful. So you're really going to want to get into your safe spot still, like I mentioned. So we switch on right back over to that hail. We can see those really, really bright colors right here, just moving with the top of that system, really wrapping around, like I mentioned before. Doesn't have that as much signature as what we were looking like earlier today. We can really see that really strong. Look at that all the way to the right on your large scale. So like I mentioned, that large could possibly be baseball, teacup sized hail, and with these really gusty winds gusting up to 60, 70 miles an hour, it's very dangerous. So you don't want to be in a place anywhere near windows, nothing like that. Switch right on back over to the base radar. Like I mentioned, has been extended to a severe thunderstorm warning, so the National Weather Service is pretty confident that they are able to downgrade the tornado warning to a severe thunderstorm warning. But you need to keep in mind that even with a severe thunderstorm warning, a tornado is still very much possible. You're going to have, in order to have a severe thunderstorm warning, you're going to have hail larger than an inch, winds gusting up to past or keeping more of a sustained wind of 58 miles an hour or more, and then obviously you could have a possible tornado as well. But like I mentioned, this is very hopeful that it is heading through a severe thunderstorm warning, but you don't want to let your guard down just yet, as it still has been moving through. Take a look at the velocity, and that signature is very, very prominent right there. We can see right there that there is the possibility of a possible tornado. However, there hasn't been any reports right now that it is on the ground. But like I mentioned, yeah, they're saying almost 2-inch hail. They're saying golf ball, even egg-sized hail that is moving. And like I mentioned, that this system is really, really moving fast. They're mentioning that it's moving 40 miles that we have mentioned northeast, and that's very fast for this system. However, like I mentioned, we can definitely see that, but you can see that the tornado right there, that there's not going to be one as it has been extended. We do have another tornado warning that is farther south in Missouri. It is not in our viewing area, but it's very hopeful that since they have downgraded this to a severe thunderstorm warning, that it is very hopeful. So we go ahead and switch right back over. It does look like they have dropped that, so there is no no more tornado warning, and it has expired. It is 5:15, so that with that timing, it does match up. But like I mentioned, as we move towards Sullivan, you do have the potential for even very gusty winds, 60 mile an hour. And like I mentioned, with that really large hail that we were just looking at, is very dangerous. So you still, even though it is still just a severe thunderstorm warning, you need to be very, very careful. So we go ahead and switch back. Like I mentioned, we can see that hail, even the storm reports with this system, really across the area, plenty and plenty of hail that is just very large. And we can go ahead and see that some of these areas, like I mentioned, 1 inch, if we go back kind of moving up into that area that was associated, we had 0.8 as well. Looking right there, there it is. Like that is 2 inches of hail, and that is crazy. So that's going to be in diameter, very close to like an egg, a little bit smaller than a baseball. But they said very high winds are also reported by law enforcement. So like I mentioned, with those gusty winds, it's very, very dangerous out there as well. If we switch right on back over, we can take a look at the hail that we are just mentioning moving in. We can see a lot of those reports were right behind this area that really is in that bright pink area. It's going to be very large, like we mentioned, 2 inches, and even there could be some isolated areas of even larger. So it is very dangerous. Make sure that you get to your safe spot as well, just away from windows as well, because with this blowing hail, with the very extreme winds and it moving around, is very important to stay safe. Switch right back over. Yes, so we have moved on to a severe thunderstorm warning, so we should be, I don't want to say in the clear, but with them putting that out, they don't have as much confidence like they did before to go ahead and issue a tornado warning, so it should be really good for us as well. But as we take a look, we do see those areas still very, very strong. That's going to be right where that hail is. So it's very important if you're heading in. It does look like it is heading to Sullivan right now. So you want to make sure that you are staying safe out there. Like I mentioned, you don't want to be in your car or out and about with this system. As it keeps on updating, we can see right there that it is a severe thunderstorm warning now. Switch right back over to the velocity. Again, that signature is still pretty strong right there, as we can see that really has looking like the possibility that it could produce a tornado. As we keep on looking here, looking at some of the reports, so they haven't had the chance there to keep on reporting, but even that area saying there, people are still reporting. This one says quarter-sized hail in some areas, but like I mentioned, even St. Louis, this is going to be with the Springfield office. However, St. Louis is also keeping their close eye on it as well. And there we go, another severe thunderstorm warning as we go ahead and zoom out. So that's going to be a pretty large one with this area, and we can take a look at the radar and see really that other system has been coming in there. So you can go ahead and play that across there. We do see the tip of that tornado warning down to our south. But like I said, you can really see the even movement in the circulation up here with this system, but then down here as well. And like I mentioned, it was a bunch of smaller cells that really came together and made this very powerful, powerful system. But with that, you do have that severe thunderstorm warning. With the area moving across. So again, you're going to have that Phelps County just moving on right there, just southeast of Rolla, but they're really anticipating this to go ahead and pick up as well. Moving back over, just making sure that we have everything covered right now. Already, they have kind of moved their concerns to farther south in the state right now that I'm kind of reading right now. Like I mentioned, there was multiple power lines that were down. We can see that even some huge limbs were broken off, and that's going to be with those winds, but also with that hail. We switch right on back over to those reports. We can even see, well, so we take a minute right now, we can also see kind of that looks like a little bit more of a circulation down here as well, but no immediate concern. It's just we have a severe thunderstorm warning, but with that, a tornado is very possible. So you do want to make sure that you are staying alert and keeping up to date with the weather, as things can change very, very fast. So where we were looking originally, we were not seeing any debris in the air or anything like that. So that's very important as well. We do have a little bit of that yellow area back there, but the main concern that we were looking at was moving a little bit farther northeast. So by looking at this, it doesn't look like there had been a confirmed tornado with that system. So that is why they have put it out. Alrighty, and then we do have that hail still. We can take a look, that really warm pink color we can see right there. But it is very important that you are staying safe. Like I mentioned, that hail with these really fast winds are going to be gusting, and you're wanting to get away from any windows that are possible as well. Then we jump right back over, like I mentioned. It's just a severe thunderstorm warning right now. Mason is joining us in the studio as well to go ahead and help out here. But like I mentioned, with the velocity, there is a little bit of that signature, but like I mentioned, that they are confident enough to put a severe thunderstorm warning on it, but not a tornado warning. So it's very important to kind of hone in on that as well. But as we switch right on back over, take a look at, we've kind of looked at the hail, but we can just kind of watch the movement of this system, and it has really moved across the southeast part of our viewing area. And even, wow, we are finally starting to see a little bit less of those deeper, darker purples. So that's very important as well, as it starts to head out of our area. So we are still looking for another kind of line off to our west. As we can see, that'll move into the area, but we should be good to go right now after they have moved on from the tornado warning, and we do have that severe thunderstorm warning as well. But just a little tip of it right there, but for right now, we are all good to go. All righty. I hope everyone had a safe area to be in today. You want to make sure you go over that plan, as severe weather can change very fast.